Hey, what's happening? This is your host Tinto. And before we get started on this weekend's episode, I thought to give a special shout out to everybody that got me a coffee this week. Starting with you, Tendai Jennifer. Thank you for your generosity and encouraging comments. You said the best podcast ever. And then Kujigawa Drumbi, I don't even know what to say because this is not the first time you give me support. It's not the second. It's either the third or fourth or even the fifth. May God continue to bless your hand that gives so generously. I appreciate your coffees. And then I've got Tichitire Bogus. Okay, or something like that. Thank you for your generous number of coffees. That is a lot. And then we got Kudzai Gomo. Again, it was great meeting you at the Madorofia socials, which is another way of making people connect. King Kandoro, thank you so much for making this happen. Now we got coffees coming through. Thank you, Gire. And then Primrose Musemwa, man, thank you very much for the encouraging comment. I would read all of it, but it's quite lengthy. I appreciate you and appreciate the coffees. If you'd like to do the same, please head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/feeling station and give as your spirit leads. Remember, there is nothing that is too small to keep the podcast that you've grown to love alive. And with that out of the way, let's pop into this weekend's episode.
Is that a breakup? I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Hello?
Yo, big man.
Yes, how's it, Tinto?
What you saying, bloody? All right.
I'm all right, man.
Yo, do you
How
know,
are you doing?
homie, if I tell you how fast I had to drive to get here, I would be in big trouble because I know I delayed us by a good 3 hours. So please forgive me, my guy.
I hope you didn't get a speeding ticket.
No, well, if I got one, it's probably going to come in the post. in a few weeks. But nah, I don't think I got.
Sorry about that, man.
How are you, man?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm really great.
Welcome to the Feeling Station.
Yes. It's a pleasure.
For those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give you, the listener, lessons that you can learn from my guest story. One of the reasons why the podcast is doing great is I do my best to keep my guests anonymous, which brings me to the fun part.
Yeah.
The name that I'm giving you today is from the humble and noble country of Zimbabwe. Right?
Of Zimbabwe?
Yeah, and it's in a language called Ndebele, and the name is Tabani.
Tabani?
Yeah, and what Tabani means is be happy, be joyful.
Be happy, be joyful.
Yeah. And you strike me as that kind of guy. You're generally a bubbly, happy, joyful fella, aren't you?
and I try to stay happy all the time.
You almost seem to doubt that you're a happy guy.
No. I'm a happy guy. So I choose happiness all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes through very easily in your personality. So your name is Tabani. And what are you calling the name of the person you're talking about today?
Wow. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pull a Tinto here.
What the hell is that? What's a Tinto?
So it's a naming ceremony.
Yes.
So
Okay.
for the duration of this episode,
yes.
I'm going all the way to South Africa.
This guy.
and I'm gonna pick a name from one of the local languages.
Yes.
So they have like 11 languages, and one of them is Tswana.
Yes.
And there's a very common name they use there. It's
not Lerato, is it?
It's called Lerato.
Is it really? Is it Lerato?
Lerato. Which means love.
Oh man.
Exactly.
That is freaking awesome. So this is a story about Tabani and Lerato.
Yes, that's cool.
Brilliant. Yeah. And another reason why the podcast is doing great is they are real life lessons that people learn from the stories my guests share. So what would you like people to learn from your story today, sir?
I've got 3 lessons.
Fantastic.
And the first lesson is the first cut is the deepest.
Say no more, brother. Say no more.
The first cut is the deepest.
Number 2.
And number 2 is long distance relationships are extreme sports. So you can't get into a long distance relationship without a solid plan.
And without adequate training and exercise.
Exactly.
Okay, and number
Yep.
3?
The lesson number 3 is never take people's feelings for granted.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes the reason your relationship will fail is because of your own actions.
That is very powerful, eh? And for a lot of us, it's very difficult to see that we had a huge part to play in making the relationship itself fail.
Yep.
So I got a really good friend of mine a couple of years ago who just kept saying, my wife keeps doing this and doing that and keeps doing this and doing that. And one day I just sat down and asked him, why does she do all of this? Then he goes, no, that's just the kind of person she is. I'm like, no, I think you have a big part to play. What have you done to make her not do that? Then he kept quiet.
Yeah, because most of the time we try to play victim without considering the fact that our own actions are partly responsible for what might be happening.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
brilliant. So I'll just play those 3 lessons back. The first one, the first cut is the deepest. Lesson number
Yep.
2, long distance relationships are extreme sports. Yes. And lesson number 3, never take people's feelings for granted, because most of the time we don't realize how we made them feel.
Yes.
Cool. Let's get into this, Tabani. Tell me about Lerato. Where did you guys connect, and why did you feel she was the one for you?
Okay, so this is sort of like a kind of an old school story. So I met Lerato in the year 2000.
Oh, okay.
I was in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Way back in the day.
Way back in the day. And so we were in high school together.
Yeah.
And I was in one class, she was in another class. So one of the days, the teachers decided to have a combined lesson for one of the subjects that we were enrolled for.
Oh, yeah.
So we have this combined lesson, and then that's the first time I ever saw her. So I just noticed her from the class, and I'm like, huh? She looks cute.
Oh, yeah.
She looks nice. She looks cute. So, but then I didn't do anything. I didn't speak to her. It was only after a couple of days. So when we finished school on one of the days, and then we were going home, and then I bumped into her, and she was with a friend. And I'm like, oh, I remember you from the class.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how we started talking.
Did she remember you?
She remembered me, yes.
Okay. Yeah,
so I think when I saw her for the first time, so when you see someone and then you start giving them the eye contact, so you start stealing glances every now and then.
Yeah.
So I think she noticed that I was looking at her.
Okay.
So when we bumped into each other, she was like, oh, no, I remember you. And then I said, yeah, I remember you too. So that's when I asked for her name. And we started talking. So we were coming from school, and then we were going home together. So we had a good conversation, just school, life in general. But we seemed to bump into each other a lot more often after that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we kept running into each other, and then we would walk together to go home. And then on one of the days, I just came out into the open. I'm like, yeah, I told her, you know what? So I know we run into each other often, but I think I like you.
Oh, so why did you put it as a thought? Why wasn't this a fact? You had the perfect. You said you just went for the kill, yeah.
Yeah,
but you don't go for a kill with an "I think I like you." That's just like a guy saying, "I'm going for war. Yes, I've got my gun, but the gun doesn't have bullets." So what are you going to fire?
I was being cautious because I didn't know how she was going to react and how she felt. So I was being diplomatic.
So that's not really going for the kill then. Because you said you went for the kill, but you want to be diplomatic. Go for the kill.
I was testing the waters.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, so you wanted to test the waters.
Exactly. So I told her, I think I like you. And then she's like, yeah, I think I like you.
Yeah, she was also testing the waters. Right? Yeah.
So when she said that, I said, okay, so if we think we like each other, then maybe we should try something.
Okay.
But so I came with a disclaimer. So I told her I've never had a girlfriend before.
Was that the
Never
truth?
been in a relation. It was the truth. So that's why I mentioned one of the lessons is first cut is the deepest.
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
So this girl was the first for a lot of things in my life. So she was my first girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
first Valentine, first kiss, first sexual encounter.
Wow. Okay.
And then ultimately at the end of the story, she was my first heartbreak.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, especially for lesson number 1. Yo, man.
Lesson number 1.
Yo,
Yeah.
I really
So
get where this is going now.
Okay, so I told her I don't know anything about relationships. So if you're gonna be my girlfriend, you're gonna be my first girlfriend.
Mm.
So I'm just putting it out there, just in case you're expecting something or you see me behaving in a certain way and you don't like it. Just know I don't have experience with these things.
What was the reaction to that?
So she was like, I've kind of like had another boyfriend before.
Okay.
It didn't work out. It was a short relationship, but I understand you, so it's okay.
This is going to be very interesting because you have two people at two different levels of experience with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really interested in finding out how this is going to turn out. I'm all ears, brother.
Okay. So basically, I became what do you call it? It was like a training ground, basically. She's a mentor. I'm the mentee.
This guy.
I have no relationship experience.
Yeah.
Never had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
So everything I need to know about relationships, to some extent, she had to show me how things work in a relationship, right? So we tell each other we sort of feeling each other, and then we started talking more often, and then hanging out more often. And it's an old school story because back in 2000, communication was interesting. So there was no cell phones, no phones basically.
I'm trying to remember what communication for me at that time was. I think that's around the time when there was a phone called Mango.
The Mango,
yeah. There was a Mango phone by Telecel.
The Mango,
and I think it came in. I don't remember the colors.
It had lots of beautiful colors.
Yeah,
but it was way out of reach of a common person.
Exactly. Yeah. And for me, I think it was only within reach because it was gifted to me by an uncle who had come from the UK or something. Otherwise, I didn't have a phone at that time myself.
You didn't have a
No.
So we didn't have a phone. She didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
I didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
So in fact, we had no internet at that time as well. So if you needed to communicate with your person, you had to do things the old school way. So we wrote letters via the post office. Or if that was taking too long, you would write a letter, put it in an envelope, find a messenger, and then get the messenger to hand deliver your letter.
Wow.
So we picked the messenger.
Wow. Where did you guys find this messenger?
Her friend became the messenger.
Okay.
So her friend, she would send a letter to me via her friend in school. Her friend will come to my class and then deliver the letter. I would write a reply, give it to the friend, give it to her, and then that's how we were communicating. So everything was going well, and she was mentoring me in a nice way. And this is the year 2000. So the year 2000 was a leap year.
Yeah.
And when it came to Valentine's Day, she was my first Valentine.
Oh, so she's your first Valentine, and Valentine's is on the other side.
It's on the other side.
Wow.
And she got me a nice gift, man. So for somebody who was in school using pocket money, she did her best.
What did she get you?
She got me an expensive watch.
Nice
designer tie, nice designer handkerchief.
Wow.
Goes with. She actually got me flowers. I didn't know guys could get flowers.
Yeah, guys can get flowers. Even for me, I'm learning that today.
I got flowers.
Nice. So what kind of flowers were they? Roses?
It was the red rose actually. For red
Nice,
roses.
nice, nice. How did you feel
So,
receiving that though?
oh man, I felt so chuffed, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was, I was smiling for days. I felt guilty on that occasion though because I got her nothing.
Why did you get a nothing?
So remember, I'm inexperienced when it comes to relationship. It was the first time I ever heard that there's a thing called Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to the day, okay, so Valentine is a day where people who love each other celebrate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of the rules, so I just thought, oh, well, maybe a card will do. Then I got a simple card and then I gave her a card. I sort of thought I could get away with it because I thought, well, it's a leap year and it's the girls tend to spoil the guys. So,
Okay.
don't I really have to do nothing there?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So she did all the work and then she got me a nice gift. And then, so she was not happy
No.
that I only got her a card.
No, she wouldn't be. No.
She wouldn't be. But then she quickly forgave me because she said, oh, remember this guy told me
He's a
he's got no
novice. He's a
experience in
rookie. Yeah.
relationships.
He's learning. Yeah.
So he's learning. So it's okay. So we forgot about that, and then we keep loving each other, and then we keep hanging out, having fun. One of the letters she wrote me was very romantic. Eh? So remember, we were communicating using the letters.
Mm-hmm.
So in one of the letters, and that's what we used to do back in the day. So if you had someone you loved, when you write the letter, then you'd sign it with a special signature, sign it with different colors.
What do you
And
mean a
then
special
spray perfume.
signature? But what does a special signature look like?
Well, you'd write your name and then
Yes.
put a signature and then maybe draw like some form of emoji or something. And then color it.
Oh man, this is giving me mad flashbacks. Okay, at that
and then
time,
if you're
right?
cool-
At that time,
Yeah,
the
then-
only emoji that I remember is this emoji called "do job." I don't know if "do job" rings a bell for you.
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
but-
fine. I'm going to record a video and show you. But basically, if you wrote the word "do job" as in DOJOB,
Oh yeah, now I remember.
those letters, if you join the D and the B at the end, if you go at the top, it's like somebody's forehead, right? And then
Yes.
those same letters, the D and the B, if you go at the bottom, it becomes a chin.
Yes.
And then the two O's are two eyes and the J is a nose.
exactly.
That's the first emoji that I remember from back in the day. So were you signing with the do job emoji?
So
Mr. Taban.
we had something similar.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then so if you called as well, so in addition to signing it with a special emoji and
Yeah.
signature, then you could spray perfume on it. If you could- So just so when they open the letter and they smell this thing, they know yes, special.
Talk about a major throwback. You see, I
Major
lost
throwback.
a girlfriend because of that, by the way. And let me tell you why. Because I did the same thing, but I didn't realize that if you spray perfume on the actual letter you've written, the ink would smudge. Yeah?
Yes.
So I wrote this beautiful, what I thought was a beautiful letter. I sprayed, I remember it was Revlon Fire and Ice, right? I sprayed that on the thing, closed it, the thing shipped. It got to her, she couldn't read a single thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then she says, "No, you lied to me. You didn't write anything meaningful. I don't like where this is going. You're not serious about me." And I was dumped. That simple. So if I had spoken to Tabani beforehand, I would have mastered the art of writing these letters the right
Man, I
way.
would have taught you the skills.
Okay, so he signed this off.
So
with the-
she's, and then you sign it off, and then you spray it with perfume, and then you send
Yeah.
it. So she wrote me a special letter that I still remember during that time. So and I'll not give you all the details, but
Yeah.
one of the lines in the letter where she was expressing her love, she quoted me the lyrics of this song by Savage Garden.
Ooh, nice.
So, you know the song that goes, "I'll be your dream, I'll be your wish, I'll be your everything." That one, man.
Wow.
She She was madly in love, man. She
Wow.
was madly in love.
Do you know, for a guy
Yeah.
who was doing his first relationship, for her to be madly in love, you must have been doing something right.
I think she loved me for the personality. I was a
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. You speak in past
yeah.
tense. Does that mean you're not a nice guy anymore?
I've learned a few hard lessons in life.
You're still a nice
Along
guy,
the way.
but only nice when required to be.
I'm a nice guy in general,
Yeah.
but then when push comes to shove, then I
Yeah.
can be mean. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Back in the day, I was super nice.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
even if he did something to me, then I would still be a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we were loving each other, and then everything was nice and all. And so we finished high school. Everything was okay until we finished high school, right? And then 3 years later, in 2003, then that's where things took a little interesting turn because she got a scholarship and moved to another continent. So she went to Australia.
Right.
And then I remained back home. So we both in college now. So she's doing college, I'm doing college. And by that time now, because we couldn't see each other in person, then we decided to adapt and improve the communication.
Yeah.
So that's when I opened my first email account. So back in the day, we used to sign up to Yahoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the yahoo.com.
Yeah. Yes.
So I got one, and then she got one. And then we would write each other emails every single day. So the only thing that made things interesting was, so because of different time zones, so when it's night in Australia, it was day in my country.
Okay.
So she would write emails late at night when she's about to sleep, and then I would be in school during the day. So then I would get these emails when I'm in class, and then I'll steal a moment.
Right.
Go to the computer lab, jot an email, and then go back to class.
Right. Wow. That's
So that's
dedication, man.
That was dedication, bro. That was dedication. And still at that time, I had no phone. Right.
Wow.
So she had a phone, but then when she used to call me using one of my roommates' phone.
Okay. Yeah.
So he had a phone, and then it was like a community phone because everybody didn't have a phone. He was the only guy who had a phone.
Okay. Yeah.
So we took all the phone calls through him. So she would call me on his phone, and then this guy, if he was somewhere else in the grounds or playing soccer, his phone rings. He'll come running. Hey, Tabani.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend is calling.
Yeah.
You've got a phone call all the way from Australia. It's a +6 one, So that was nice and all for the first 2 years after she moved to Australia. In 2005, things started changing. So when she moved to Australia at first, so every school holiday, every vacation, she would come back to the country, and then we would hang out, and then she would go back. So we used to do that every 6 months or so. She would come back home, and then we would get together, and then she would go back. In 2005, things changed. So she became distant, sort of. So she wasn't replying emails as quickly as she used to.
How quick would she reply originally?
So originally, it used to be if I send an email like now, then within the hour, she would reply.
Wow.
So
she was very efficient.
She was efficient. So within the hour, I'll get an email. So if I didn't get an email within the hour, then I sort of knew her schedule. So if she was not in school, she was doing work. So she was studying and working at the same time. So she might be on shift or something. But then I knew her schedule. So I knew at this time she's on shift, she's working. At this time she's in school, so she might not be able to reply. So I knew when to send an email and then when to expect one. But she stopped replying emails in time. So she would go maybe 6 hours or something
Mm.
and then reply. And then it went from 6 hours to maybe a day.
So did you ask about this change?
I did ask about the change.
And what was the response?
And then so she said, I'm working 2 jobs now instead of one.
Mm-hmm.
And the scholarship that I came with when I enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
So things have changed slightly. So they're not providing me the full funding they were giving me. So I have to work an extra job so I can cover up for the difference.
Okay.
So I'm super busy now.
That kind of sounds credible, doesn't it?
It does sound credible. So I was thinking, yeah, well, do what you gotta do, girl, because you need to get this degree.
Yeah.
And I didn't think of anything horrific or terrible at the time because we've been together since the year 2000 and this is 2004-ish by then. So we've been together for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
So for me, it was bliss because I knew she loved me and I knew she went out of her way to love me. So I was that, in fact, at the time I was seeing myself married to her with kids, raising a family in the near future. So the plan was, if she finishes school, I finish school, then we get together, we do the whole marriage thing, and then we do life together. So that's my understanding of things at the time. And so that's what I had in mind. So when it came to her changing how quickly she responded, I thought, well, this is just a little bump. Something just happened, but she's managing it, so that's okay. But then she moved from 6 hours to a day to maybe replying after 3 days.
Wow.
Yep. That time now, that's in the year 2005. And then I'm a student attaché at the time.
Yes.
So I got a phone at the time. So I bought my own phone, got her number, and then I could call her now at any time I wanted. Right. So when I got the phone, I'm like, yeah, this should make things easier to communicate because if she can't reply emails because of internet cafes, then I can just call her on her phone.
Yeah.
Right. Got this phone and then started calling her. At first, she would pick up the calls, but then at some point, she stopped picking up the calls. And then she would call me back later. So I'm still thinking, yeah, she told me she's doing 2 jobs plus school, so she's got lots of pressure. So definitely she's very busy, right? So there's no problem there, right? And I was okay with it for the first few weeks until the one day I called. So I called her phone and then it's a Saturday. And I'm thinking, well, Saturday she doesn't have school. She does have a shift, but then around this time she should be at home. So I call at the time. And then the phone rings. She doesn't pick up the first time. Phone rings, doesn't pick up the second time. Then I dial the third time and then the phone gets answered, but it wasn't her. It was one of her friends. So I talked to the friend. I say, hey, hello, how are you doing? So where's Lerato? She's like, oh, Lerato is in the bath right now. Okay. So she just came from shift, so she's taking a shower. But I'll tell her you call, and then she'll call you back. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Shower is like a few minutes, so I can chill, and then she's gonna call me back. She didn't.
She didn't call you back the whole night.
She didn't call me. She didn't call me, and so I wasn't gonna call back. I was expecting her to call back because long distance calls at the time, like there was no calls over the internet like we do like WhatsApp calls these days. So you actually had to load airtime, and international calls are expensive.
Oh, you know, I was just going to ask how you guys were coping because it's expensive calling either side.
It is expensive.
Of the pond. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had run out of the airtime I had when I had called the friend. So I was expecting her to actually call back on the day, and then she didn't. So I thought, oh, well, since I don't have any time, maybe we'll talk another day. So I call the next day on a Sunday now. So I'm thinking, well, it's a Sunday and she's usually off on a Sunday. So no school, no work, right? Then I dial on a Sunday and then I call 2 times and then it gets answered on the 3rd time. And this time it's the friend again. This friend was a lady friend.
And
I'm like, hey, friend.
Let me guess, she was in the shower again.
She wasn't in the shower. So I think they sort of like talked to each other and figured we can't say you in the shower again. So they went with a different story. They said, sorry, you know what? So Lerato we are hosting a little get together, a party. And Lerato happens to be the person who's doing the cooking.
Right. So
she's super busy.
Yeah.
So I'm the one handling her phone calls because she can't attend to your phone calls because we've got lots of guests coming. So she's gonna call you back. I'm like, oh, okay, enjoy your party, get together, whatever you guys are having.
Yeah.
Let's talk another time. And then since I had run out of airtime again, I decided, you know what, I've got an email, so let me just send an email. So hi Lerato. Yeah, I've been trying to get hold of you. So on Saturday you were in a shower. Yesterday you were cooking. Did your friend tell you that I called? First of all,
yeah.
Did you get the message?
I bet you she said she didn't get the message.
She didn't reply.
Wow.
That email. So it went for more than a day.
So hold on a sec. She didn't call you back when she was in the shower, in quotes. Did she call you back when she was cooking, in quotes?
She didn't call me back when she was cooking.
So you've got 2 phone calls that haven't been returned.
2 phone calls that haven't been returned.
You also have an email that hasn't been returned.
I've got an email that hasn't been returned.
Bro, what is going through your mind at that time? What were you thinking?
So I was naive, to be honest, because the way she had described the kind of life she was living. So it's a first world country and I'm still in Africa. So she's like, you know what, first world country, we run on, like everything is advanced here. And then people don't have time to waste. So most people are super busy. So we rarely get time to do free, like stuff that's not important. So I sort of like had that background because we had a conversation before about that. So I thought, maybe these days she's super busy because she did tell me she's handling 2 jobs and then she's got school and then exams are probably coming along the way. So maybe she's under pressure. So maybe she forgot or she's just failing to get a free moment. So I was that naive. I thought, it's nothing big.
Yeah.
And then so when she got to me, when she replied the email, she said, oh, no. I did get your message. And then sorry about that. And sorry about replying late, but it's been hectic, hey? So, but don't worry. This weekend, I might be free so we can catch up and then we can talk about this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Nice. So on the following Saturday, I call her again. And then I was thinking she would pick up. She didn't. Rang twice again, and then on the 3rd count, the friend is the one that picked it up again.
Yo,
now I know the friend's voice now.
So the moment she picks up, okay, all right. I know exactly who you are. In the background, I'm thinking when the phone rings the first time, she'll be running across the house and say, yo, I need you to do your thing again.
To do your thing again.
Maybe. Hold my back.
So I'm like, friend, where's Lerato? She's like, oh, Lerato is doing driving school these days. So she's gone for a driving lesson.
Yeah, the excuses were fast running out, eh?
Yo. And then I'm like, okay, can you just tell her to call me back? Or in fact, I'll try calling back. So how long is the lesson? She's like, lesson is usually an hour. I'm like, okay, no problem. Call after an hour. Then I tried calling after an hour. Phone was ringing. By that time I'm thinking, okay, what's going on now?
Yeah.
I'm like, so I just sent an SMS. I'm like, no, email is like SMS was expensive, so you had 140 characters or something.
Mm.
So I'm like, hey, Lerato, I was hoping you would get back to me after the driving lesson. So when can I talk to you? She didn't reply the SMS. Right. By that time, I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting upset because now it looks like she's trying to avoid me for some reason.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Mm-hmm. So I just got angry. I'm like, let me leave this. Let me just not say anything. So I stopped talking. So that day I didn't call later. And then the following day, so I was like, she'll get back to me when she gets back to me. Right? Because she looks like she's avoiding me. So she's going to chat to me. Right. And then sometime during the week, the following week, she sent me an email. She's like, no, hi. You know what? I'm so sorry. Things are a little bit hectic. So from that driving lesson, and then something else came up, and then we went out with the girls, and then I got drunk, and then I couldn't get back to you. And I'm like, you got drunk? When did you start drinking?
Okay.
So I sent a reply back. I'm like, you didn't tell me you drink. She's like, oh yeah, now I drink. So we've got lots of stress, and also we have to cope. So I usually just go out with the friends. We hang out and this. I'm like, oh, okay. So are we gonna talk? Like, no. We'll talk when it's convenient. Right now is not the time. So I'm juggling lessons, and then after this, I have to go to a shift quick. I'm like, okay. I loved her, and I thought she loved me. So I thought, yeah, well, let me not confront this or say anything nasty. So let me just.
So your
chill.
reason for not confronting something is because you loved her.
I loved her, and I didn't want to ruin things.
I would have thought that would have been all the reason to confront her. Because if you genuinely love someone, then at least you must try and be as transparent as you possibly can. And confront things up front. Because then if you don't do that, you then run the risk of playing this avoidant game where I didn't want to rock the boat.
Yeah, so it was the first time that she had done something like this.
Okay.
Right? So I was assuming that maybe something has happened. Maybe she's got like a family incident or something has happened, and then she's going through something. Like this is mini phase of some sort. So I thought, well, she's gonna come back to her senses, and then maybe we will be on the same page. So I thought she needed some form of healing from whatever it was.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
We were gonna have the conversation, so I thought, let me not confront her this time. So maybe she's dealing with something. So we'll talk about it later. So I let it slide. And then I stopped calling because now I knew if I called, she wasn't gonna pick up, or if anyone picked up, it would be the friend.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then I'll send an email, hi, how are you doing? And then she'll reply, hi, how are you doing? Emails are easy, so you can be as nice as you want on email.
Yeah. That is a fact. That's a very strong fact.
So the emails came with love. So the emails were managing me. They were telling me, no, everything is okay. I'm okay. It's just that I'm super busy, but I love you. I've always loved you. So this is it. And I would reply the emails. I'm like, okay, at least she's still sending sweet nothings. So we are okay. But she just suddenly cut off communication not long after that. So maybe about a month and a half after that was happening, then she just stopped talking, stopped picking phones, stopped replying emails. Man, that was like a blow. Because I've been with this girl by now, it's 6 years.
Wow.
6 years I've been with this girl, and then she just ghosted me. And I'm thinking,
at what point did it become obvious she was ghosting you? Because remember, she used to answer within 1 hour.
She used to answer within 1 hour.
And then within 6 hours, then maybe within 1 day. So didn't you feel that this was just another one of those extensions? How did it become clear? Here I'm being ghosted now.
It became clear because So now, at least when I was calling and then the friend was picking up, then someone
Okay.
would call
Yeah.
after the third ring.
Yeah.
This time now, no matter how much you rang the phone, it wasn't being
Getting
picked
picked
up.
up. Oh,
Mhm.
snap.
And then so you think, yeah, well, maybe she's on shift or she's in class, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why she's not picking up. Then I'll be like, okay, I'll send an email. So if I send an email, she'll probably reply the email.
Mm-hmm.
Then the emails never got replied. So by the time I send 3 or 4 emails, I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get a reply.
Right. I get it
so
now.
so I also stopped sending emails, and then I stopped calling. And then she never got back.
So did you stop doing this to test whether she would try and reach out to you or not?
Yes,
Okay.
you're actually correct. So I was running the test. So I thought, well, let me test what will happen if I stop communicating.
Yeah.
Is she gonna get back to me? Because if we're in a relationship, then she ought to feel that she's somehow obligated
Exactly.
to at least let me know what's happening. So I thought, well, let me let things be, and then she's gonna get back to me. She didn't. Then we stopped talking. By the time it's like 2 weeks, no communication. At that point in time, I'm thinking, okay, I think either I've done something terribly wrong, or I don't know what else is happening. Or maybe she's in hospital, or worst case scenario. So I don't know what's happening. But there could be a possibility that maybe we're not in a relationship anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that time, it was just like any option I could think of. So I thought, well, let me not dwell on that. 1 month, no communication. By that time, I'm like, yeah, I
Yo,
think we've broken up.
this is crazy. Your mind
I
must
think
have
we've
been
broken up.
going all
I was
over.
going insane, man. It was all over.
Wow.
Because I had never been broken up before. And remember, she's my first girlfriend. And we're coming from paradise, lovey-dovey, happily ever after, and then to just suddenly get a cut off of communication.
Yeah.
That didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So by the end of the first month, I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? I think maybe this is what they always say when they say things can just end. But I knew if I tried to reach out to her, she wasn't going to pick up. So she wasn't picking calls anyway. She wasn't replying emails. So I thought, well, then what's the point? Let me just leave this. So after 3 months, that's when she called me. So she sent me an email first of all. She was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing? You know what? I want to talk to you." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "No, no, no. I need to have a proper conversation with you." I'm like,
How did you feel when she initially made that contact after so long? Were you excited? Were you relieved? Were you like, what was your
I
feeling?
didn't know what to think. So a part of me was scared.
Yeah.
Because I thought maybe there's something I did. And then maybe she's going to confront me about that. So, but then because I didn't know what it was, I didn't know what I would need to defend myself from. And then another part of me told me maybe she wants to apologize or something, because she's been ghost for 3 months now.
Yeah.
So
That's a long time, man.
that's a long time, eh?
Jeez, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, fine. Let's have this call on a Saturday. When you got time, I've got time on a Saturday. It's a weekend, so we can talk. She did call on the Saturday. And then she's like, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm okay." She's like, "How are you coping?" I'm like, "I'm okay." She's like, "Yeah, so I've been away." I'm like, "Yeah, you've been away. Is everything okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get into that, but I just need to know if you're okay first of all." I'm like, "I'm fine, except the part where you're not talking to me anymore." She's like, "Okay, well then let's get into it." So she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I've been thinking. So I know we've been planning to have a life together. So we planned that after you finish school and then I finish school, then we're gonna move off to another continent together, raise a family." yeah, that's not happening anymore.
Oh,
I'm like, what did you just say? What has changed? She's like, yeah,
yeah.
I've kind of realized that you're not the one for me.
What?
And I'm like, huh?
Excuse me, madam. How did you come to that
Excuse me.
realization?
I'm like, we've been together for 6 years. She's like, yeah, but maybe the thing is, I've known you since high school and I hadn't seen any other options and I didn't even know what I
Mm,
wanted. Like, I
mm.
didn't have a definition of what I wanted. I think I've now defined what I want in a relationship. And I don't think it's you.
Wow.
Yo, Tint, I was
This is
listening to this.
this is deep.
This is deep, man. And then the last thing she said was like, yeah, actually, you need to pick on someone your own size.
What? Oh,
What? Man,
bro.
bro,
Ay, ay, ay,
that was
ay,
like a sword straight to the heart, to the core. So I was confused, and then I'm listening to this girl, and I'm on the phone, and then here I was thinking she was gonna apologize or confront me for something I did wrong,
yeah.
and then she's breaking up with me. Man, I'm like, oh,
That.
but why?
Yeah.
But why? She's like, no, just know that you're not the person for me. So, and besides, you are a nice guy. I'm not the person you think I am. And I think we want different things out of life. So she was just throwing
Oh
shots,
my.
man. And
You
meanwhile, I'm trying to
know,
compose myself.
that was gonna be my next question. To say,
Oh,
you know, from what I hear, bro, this is shots being fired, and you're not even
mm,
being given an opportunity to bring your
to
shield
speak.
out and
I'm not
to,
even.
you know, try defend yourself and stop some of these bullets from getting to your chest and to your heart.
Not even.
They were just
Not even.
coming left, right, and
They were just
center.
coming. They
So
were just coming.
did she say this stuff over text, over phone, or over email? Because you
It
guys,
was
those are the.
it was over a phone call. Yeah.
So now
So
she
we
can make a phone call, yeah.
now she can make a phone call. Yep.
And this doesn't sound like a
So
short conversation.
it wasn't short. It was long. Yeah.
Wow.
So I listened to this girl for more than an hour on that call, and by the time it was done, I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't think I can listen to this anymore. She's like, no, I know you don't want to hear this, but I just had to say it. Anyway, have a nice life. Drops the call.
Oh my
Ha, man.
God. Wow.
That was like the first time I had ever had a heartbreak.
Bro, you know, it's
And a nasty
interesting.
one.
It's interesting. The first thing you said in terms of lesson was the first cut is deepest. And
First
I was
cut is
like,
the
say no
best.
more. I
Yep.
didn't realize how deep this cut would have been.
Yep. So it really cut me, man. I was speechless, and then I sort of like got into a mini depression, and I lost appetite. Do you know, like the kind of breakup that makes you lose appetite? Like they give you food, and you're like, I don't feel like eating.
Yeah. No, I totally get that feeling. I've
Yep.
been down that road ages ago. You know,
That was
but when I had a breakup myself, I just couldn't stomach any food at all.
yeah.
In fact,
It,
even just the
you couldn't
scent of
eat it, like
someone cooking
even
food
this
would be like, yo,
man.
please, get the
Where was
stuff
the
out.
taste gonna come from?
Hmm.
So I was like
Hmm.
that for a couple of months, I think.
Hmm.
So I was mini depression. But then what happened is, so she broke up with me, and then I was confused. I didn't know what happened.
Hmm.
And then about 5 months later,
Hmm.
she sent me an email
Hmm.
with pictures. And in those pictures, there was a small baby, newborn.
Oh my
And she's like,
God.
can you welcome my
Oh
firstborn son?
my gosh.
Ha!
Taban. Hey, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
It's
Yep.
almost needless for me to ask you how you felt because I literally just felt that jab right now.
Man.
Because
So,
what that means is that
mm,
at least 9 months ago, she had
mhm.
had sex with someone and had
Yeah.
fallen pregnant and
Mhm.
gone through the pregnancy and delivered.
Mhm.
And then this whole
And
time,
delivered.
there's no
Mhm.
way you would have been at the forefront of her mind. It would have
Yes.
been the baby and the guy who made her
And the
pregnant.
guy. Yep.
Hey, Tabani, I'm
So
sorry, man.
at least that explained. So when I saw the pictures and the email, I'm like, oh, so now I know why she went ghost.
Mm,
And now I know why she broke up with me. So there's clearly another guy.
mm.
Yeah.
What I don't get is why she sent you those, though. Like
I
what?
don't know whether
Like what was she hoping you would do? That information, was she hoping that you'd be happy for her?
um, I really don't know either. I like to think that the way things ended, so when she broke up with me, I wasn't fighting back or saying anything back. And then after that, I didn't like fight back or try to reach her to get an understanding of what had happened. So maybe she felt obliged or compelled to explain herself why she had broken up with me. I think so. Maybe.
Hmm. Bro, just
Yeah.
processing this is, I don't know, man. Do you know there's some people who derive a form of pleasure from cruelty. And I don't want to say that was the case because it just doesn't
Mhm.
feel right. But honestly,
Mhm.
what benefit was sending you a picture of somebody else's baby to you when you were her lover? And she knew, remember, that
Mhm.
you were the
Mhm.
first and only.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Aye.
Still doesn't make sense, but I got the email with pictures.
So what did you say back? Congratulations, I'm happy for you. What did you say?
uh, I just said congratulations, I guess.
Yeah.
And I really couldn't say anything more because the other thing that made things more interesting was the fact that the baby was colored. Right?
Oh,
So she had a white boyfriend.
right.
So I was like, there's no way I can compare to that or compete with that, like at any level. So I'm like, I think this is done and done, so I think I need to move on with my life. So that's how I moved on from there. But then when I try to understand what happened, so I look back to the relationship. I'm like, so when we started out in 2000 to 2003, when we were still together and we used to see each other every day, we were okay, we were fine. And then she moved into a different country. And then at first we were okay. But I think the long distance made it easier
For her.
because there was no communication. So it made it easier for her. And she is a beautiful woman. So I can understand that she was getting lots of attention from the guys on the other side. So maybe it was easy.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
maybe the friends had influence or
nah, whatever,
whatever it
man.
is.
Everybody gets attention. Even now,
Everybody gets
Tabani, I'm sure
attention.
you get attention from women, right?
Mhm.
But you have a choice to either
Yeah.
let that attention get to you and act on
To
it,
you or
or
not.
cut it off from the onset. So let attention come. What are you doing as an individual about that attention? That's where the problem is.
I really don't know.
And for her, she decided that no, this attention is good. I'm gonna let it come my way. I'm gonna let the physical aspect come my way. I'm going to let this penis come my way and give me a baby. There's no
So
way you could have done
man,
anything about that.
man.
Man, and
So I try to think of it that way. And then the other thing I try to think of was the fact like, so in my third lesson, I said, um, sometimes the relationships fail because of your own actions.
yeah.
So I started looking back and I thought maybe she found it easy to fall in love with someone else or to be in a relationship because when I look in retro, I wasn't putting in as much effort as she was to
In
get us going and to make it work.
in terms of what? How?
So the things she was doing, I think maybe she got tired at some point.
Like what? What was she doing?
So she was the one who had more experience in a relationship when we got together, and I was still
Okay.
learning, right? So if the first few dates we did and a couple of dates after that, she was the one that made suggestions. So she'd be like, "Oh, babes, let's go for a movie." Then we'll go for a movie. Baby, this weekend, let's go do this. She was the one suggesting things.
Okay.
I wasn't, like, I was clueless on how to handle a girl, So
I see.
I was just tagging along and following along, So maybe she got tired of
I see.
putting in the effort and the work
I see.
when I wasn't coming up to her level to, that's why I took that lesson, but still, there's still room for doubt. So maybe it was something else.
I totally get it now.
Yep.
Hey, bro.
That's it in a nutshell.
That makes a lot of sense. I totally get the first cut is the deepest. And man, you went 6 years strong with one person, only for them to eventually get someone else, which is this whole thing about long distance being an extreme sport. And that's your second lesson. It really is. Because think about it. You have to think about, how am I going to communicate with this person? It was email, text, and phone. Email it needed you to go to either an internet cafe or go to the computer lab at the uni, and then the phones, you're depending on somebody who maybe they're running, bro. Yeah,
and past a certain time, internet cafes are closed.
Man. And then third lesson, never take person's feelings for granted, because relationships can fail because of your own actions. And I see how that happened as well. Hey, yeah, this has been an extreme extreme sport and extreme thing to listen to. But I'm glad you've overcome that hurdle. And now at least you can confidently say you've got some experience with relationships. From that 2000 experience, you know what happens on Valentine's Day. You know that it's important. You know that it's important for you to suggest stuff to do with your woman, and to give as much as you're receiving, pretty much.
Yeah. Plus, the other thing is, even if it's a leap year, so the rule is it's a leap year. Nothing is a scam. Even if it's a leap year, we may still expect you to spoil.
Guys, if there's any men listening to this, the whole leap year thing is one hell of a huge scam. Okay.
It's a scam.
Don't buy into it. If you're getting a gift from someone, make sure you're getting them twice as much in a leap year. That way you'll save your own butt.
Exactly.
Nah, thanks, Thabang. I appreciate you for this, man. This has been a great story.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Tinto.
And just a quick wrap up for everyone. First lesson, the first cut is the deepest. That was quite transparent in this episode. Lesson number 2, long distance relationships are extreme sports. So be geared for them if you decide to get into that kind of situation. And lesson number 3, never take people's feelings for granted, because the relationship might be failing because of your own actions. You've been listening to another episode of The Feeling Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I look forward to catching you in next week's episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagezai.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Satis on Daru Raini and Chagezai.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.
Kujidziru amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziru amai.